Why is traditional SEO changing so fast?
In 5 years, we're going to be fully talking to robots. We're going to be marketing to a robot. We're going to be advertising to robots. That's the idea of AEO, which is really what we're focusing on right now.
We were in the prompt stage, and now it's more evolved where we're actually giving the AI, like training the AI as if it was a human, but it's more automation and also giving them the final result.
We're treating information as the absolute golden standard for every business. And this is a little device that we use. It's called the Pocket. And the value of this is everybody in my organization is using this when they talk to customers, and we're creating this data warehouse of relevant, accurate information so that when we prompt anything about our business and AI, it's prompting correct information.
Like another way of doing things, right? Because if not, we can get comfortable, right? Working with how the agency has been operating.
These things are communicating. They're going to matter in the future, not just for productivity level, but also just for a general human rights level is going to hit robotics, I think.
Was there ever a season where your agency looked successful on the outside, but internally you felt burned out?
I'm always trying to impress new clients. I'm always trying to impress myself and my team. Very rarely am I showcasing the odds and ends. I don't really need to grow rapidly. I'm going to grow step by step by step, just like a tomato grows from the ground.
Success is ongoing. Now you could celebrate, and you can celebrate those milestones that you hit, but it's ongoing. You can't just say, okay, I just made it. Maybe when we're 100 years old, you know? Welcome to the Go Accomplish More podcast. And today we have a really good one. Today we're going to talk about that search is changing fast. AI is rewriting the rules, and most agencies are completely unprepared for what's coming next. So today I have Ruan Marinho, founder of DevelopArk, to talk about the future of AEO, which is answer engine optimization, and what agency owners must do right now to stay relevant, right, in an AI-driven world. We're going to talk about scaling without chaos, building systems that create freedom, leadership under pressure, and the hidden weight that comes with fast growth. So if you're an agency owner, you got to pay attention, right? Because if you're trying to evolve before the market forces you to, this episode is for you.
Thanks for the kind introduction. And I think you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what's going on right now. So I'm excited to get into it and talk to you about everything that we're doing and what we're seeing and how it can benefit your business.
Awesome, Ruan. So super excited to have you once again. So you've built an incredible agency at such a young age. Like I think there are so many young entrepreneurs listening to this show and that they're running their agency. But outside of business, like what's something that you generally most proud of right now, that you're doing right now, that you're actually, man, I'm super happy on this accomplishment right now?
I feel like ever since I hit 30 years old, I have become a lot more empathetic and much more compassionate. And I've just seen not everything as a transaction anymore. And I've gotten to actually enjoy my conversations with people and being present in front of people. So I think for me, one of my biggest accomplishments recently is just being present. It hasn't been anything materialistic. Like I can afford a lot of things, but for me, it's mainly like I just thoroughly enjoy being who I am right now and being around the people that I'm around.
That's so good. And I think like building relationships, right? You've learned, I think when you build an agency, I think in your early years, I think that you don't understand the power of relationships. But I think when I met you at the event, you were so relational. You were talking with people, and I think that's what separates a lot of agencies. Would you say, like in the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, I think like customers are always thinking about the reality of things. Like they have to make payroll, they have to get more leads, they have to do their accounting. So I found that to build good relationships in our agency, we've had to help customers really see themselves as they are and help them think bigger. So that just. I would agree with that. It's all about relationships. And the best way I've approached it is to imagine a little bit with the customer.
That's so good. That's so good. When you started in your early days in your agency, was there one thing that you were absolutely convinced about that later turned out to be completely wrong?
Yeah, slow down on hiring. Talk to Go Staffy. And really just hire when you absolutely need to hire. I made the big mistake of hiring someone because I was trying to prove to others that I had a real business and I just wanted to like feel like a business owner. And I was 24 at the time. I would have waited a long time to hire. And that created a bunch of problems. That created back taxes with the IRS. That created loans that I took out to sustain the payroll. So, push your capabilities to the brim and only hire the role you can't do well when you need it.
That's so good. And I think being prepared for growth is essential. You know, a lot of times we wait till we're growing. And then what happens is that you rush into the hiring and you don't have the SOPs in place. So I totally agree with that for sure. So let's talk a little bit about why we have you on the show. Like, you're definitely an expert on SEO, an expert on AEO. And for agency owners trying to understand the AI search, what exactly is AEO? Why is traditional SEO changing so fast?
Well, it's changing so fast because we like using AI better than we like using traditional. It's that simple. The tech companies aren't changing it, we're changing it. The way we're using computers is different than the way we used it in traditional search. Why look at 10 blue links when you can get an answer? That's the idea of AEO, which is really what we're focusing on right now. And so the major difference is right now, Ruan and John got together in studio Riverside FM and we're talking. The idea of AEO is we're not getting together at all and our agents are talking. If your business isn't discoverable to those agents, you're not going to be in the answer. And so instead of humans going to get information, it's a crawler that's getting information. So now we're literally in a situation where we have to market to the robot, not necessarily just market to the human being using the website. And in fact, if you look at the Cloudflare radar, which is in a study of all of the internet traffic, roughly 30% of it are bots right now. That's significantly higher than 5 years ago. We're forecasting in 2027, it's going to be more than 50% are going to be bots on the internet. And the dead internet theory, which was the term that people were using before, is actually going to come true, where the internet is just a bunch of bots communicating with each other. Now, you can look at that skeptically and be behind the eight ball. And you can say, well, I don't like where that's going. I want to quit. That's not right. Human creativity, blah, blah, blah. You can make that argument. But at the end of the day, we're the ones fueling it.
That's so true. And you know what's funny about it is that there's even a social media channel for AI bots, like literally for AI agents. And I'm sure you've heard of it, right? Isn't that insane, right? They have their own little social media gathering. And definitely like the way that we're looking at it is like when ChatGPT came into the mix, like we were in the prompt stage, right? We were just prompting. And now it's more evolved where we're actually giving the AI, like training the AI as if it was a human and amplifying the team members in whatever role they're in, right? So now it's more of like, hey, this is the goal that I want you to do. Not, hey, can you do this for me? And just prompting, which prompting is cool, right? But it's more automation and also giving them the final result, right? Would you agree that that's where it's headed, or that's where it is right now as well?
I would agree with that. And now with Claude Cowork, with ChatGPT, Codex, and all these other tools, AI is literally making recommendations for you on a schedule. And so it's actually selling you local products and services. And if it's not finding you, it can't recommend that to its owner, or I should say its user. And so you're going to see a situation in the near future where it's like, hey, John, I know you've been talking to me about energy savings, this and that. Have you ever considered solar? Here's a solar company in the area that might do well based on what I know about you. And that's where it's going to be critical to make sure that you're marketing to those robots. So I think prompting was the first stage of it, is like, how do I get it to respond? And then I have to copy and paste and do all this stuff. Now with MCPs, model context protocols, you can tell Claude one thing and it can talk to 15 different tools and accomplish all the work that you're looking for. So I envision every big software company is going to make their MCPs, which is how the AIs connect to these tools, much more comprehensive. And you're going to be able to do anything from chat.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And we're diving in a lot with Claude Cowork and setting up the connectors, and it's just so fascinating where you can create your own artifact now with like maps and dashboards. It's so cool where things are headed. But let's turn a little bit on, this show, like I try to make it as practical as we can for the agency owner that's listening. If let's say an agency owner wants to start offering AEO right today without creating chaos internally, what's the smartest first step you recommend?
I love this conversation because a lot of us we're hanging on to SEO, and we're hanging on to this idea that they're the same. They're not the same. They're fundamentally different. The reason they're different is because one very simple fact: ChatGPT cannot use Google search results. And so if that's the case, that means Google's algorithm is way different than the LLMs, ChatGPT and Claude's algorithms. Those are their competitors. So why would Google just be like, yeah, use our search results, use our map data? They're not going to allow that to happen. AEO is the practice of showing up in all of them and optimizing your content strategy so you talk to all of these machines. And so the first real step is to organize your company's data and automate the creation of the content based on your Zoom meetings, your phone calls that you're getting as leads, emails you're getting from customers, any conversations you're having, interviews you're having, and creating a system where your website can publish this content that's searchable and readable to these LLMs. Over time, you will start to show up for more prompts. Your visibility will increase. I recommend using an LLM visibility tool. Peak.ai is a really good one that I like to use.
Nice.
Some people like using Profound. That's another tool. And just communicate to the customer on an ongoing basis. You've added this and your visibility is going up. And that's usually enough for a business to feel like they're getting the return on investment for the LLMs. Now, to take it a step further, right? If you're doing this for a customer, it's very straightforward. It's how can you get them to give you data that you can create content for them automatically. So at DevelopArk, we have the human service, and then there's the automation portion of it that's doing it as well. And so for us, we use a tool called CallRail, and it'll actually tell us how many leads the client's getting from these different LLMs.
That's great because you get the data as well.
The trick, however, is when we brought real people into our office and watched them use ChatGPT to find a business and make the selection process, they would find GoStaffy and ChatGPT, but then they would leave ChatGPT and go to Google and validate and then convert. So the attribution is completely skewed. My main thing that I do, John, is I'll ask, have you gotten a customer from ChatGPT? When was the last time you used ChatGPT? Most business owners will be like, yeah, we've gotten somebody from AI. I use it every day. And that's usually enough of a selling proposition for me to say, did you know that there's people searching for people just like you in ChatGPT? Do you know how visible you are? And do you know how to improve that? And that's where I'll start that sales conversation with. Now, generally speaking, ideally, you can automate a lot of the AI SEO. And if you go on my LinkedIn page, I'm posting videos on a weekly basis on how to do this. And a lot of it is making sure that you can get this data on an ongoing basis from transcriptions that you're already doing in your business. So the transcript is gold, is what we're saying at our agency. A transcript first culture will enable a really good AEO strategy.
That's so good. That's a hack right there for agency owners listening. I mean, that's amazing. And how would you say, how do you package it right now? Or how do you, in your agency, I'm sure you offer more services. If you offer a complete service, how would you package and sell AEO inside your agency today? Because I'm sure there's agency owners listening and they're like, man, I want to not only learn how to do this, but actually, should I sell it as an upsell? Should I include it within one of my packages? Can you share a little bit about how you unpack it in your agency?
Yeah, so I always sell it as an upsell because for DevelopArk, we have to make the client's website. We have to be running ads. And LLM, AI, SEO is a third thing that we're doing now. And most of it is automatically done based on how much data they can give us. Now, a lot of that data collection is automatically done through CallRail, their form submissions, their transcripts, etc. And then Claude will automatically create content on their website doing that and using that information. And so generally speaking, we'll charge anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a month for this service. And usually we'll have the clients commit to a year agreement. And the reason why we do that is because we're doing so much work up front. It's like when you go to buy a car, you're going to finance the car. You're not going to buy it outright. So you're going to enjoy it while it's happening. You're also going to be getting the results, but you don't have technical ownership of the website and the LLM stuff, all of that until year one. If you want to cancel or churn or go to a different agency, you can do that. But we give them an excessive amount of value up front, and then we charge them monthly for it. So the financing model that we're using is really allowing them to get all of our services up front, but then pay for it in 12 monthly installments. So that's worked really well for us. So a customer will come to us, we'll make their website, we'll do their AI SEO, we'll run their ads, we'll show them their leads, all of the typical lead generation service skills that's going on with multiple agencies. The only difference is we're making it a clear selling distinction that we care a lot about how you're showing up in LLMs, and here's how we do it.
That's so good. Now, when it comes to AI, what would you say is the biggest mistake agency owners are making right now when they're trying to sell the AI related services? If you're listening to this show, if you're an agency owner, what would be the best way to offer AI? Because we're using AI within our agency, but I feel like sometimes it's really hard to offer the AI solutions to a client because they might not understand it. What would be the best way to offer it?
I think the biggest mistake people are making right now is they're not tracking if they're getting leads from the AI. So attribution is the first step. Because if I say this is like a hocus pocus category right now, it's not. It's really not. I've gotten real money from it, but to most people in their heads it is. And so if I said, John, look, you got this customer from AI last month. We're tracking all of this, and they came from ChatGPT, and you told me that they spent $45,000 for you. Why don't we go get more people like them? That's step one. If you already have an account, just install tracking, see where they're getting results from AI, and tell them they're getting the result. Just make them aware that this even exists. Once that awareness is in place, then I move them to the next step, which is are you curious about how the brand is showing up in LLMs? I can do that for you. Let me see how you're showing up in Grok and in Perplexity and ChatGPT. There's a ton of softwares that allow you to run that. And then you could say, okay, cool. Here's your visibility. Here's your competitors. If I do this for you for a year, you're going to be beating your competitors. That's going to be worth X, Y, and Z more jobs based on what you've already gotten. And we're not even focusing on it right now. So I think the biggest mistake is people are already doing AEO, whether they like it or not. They're just not communicating with the customer what's already coming from it. So it's not real and tangible to the business. They don't see the value in it. But once money hits their bank account from this as a source, they can grasp onto it and they can say, oh, I remember Stephanie. She came in and she got a kitchen remodel. Wow, I didn't know she used ChatGPT. We should get more people like Stephanie. So it really makes it real for them is what I found.
That's so good. That's really, really good. And I think like what happens to a lot of agency owners is that they get stuck with running the agency and they don't have time to kind of pivot to like another way of doing things, right? And I think where you have to kind of think out of the box and say, okay, should I outsource this? Should I look for a tool that can help us work with this? Or just assign it to your ops manager? Because if not, we can get comfortable, right? Working with how the agency has been operating, right? And there's a danger to that too, because you're not pivoting on time and you're probably gonna get left behind or whatnot. I mean, would you say that there's a danger in that? Like if the agency owner is not reacting, and I get it, there's so many things hitting us. I mean, right now, there's so much information overload like crazy, but in the end of the day, we have to look at what's gonna move the needle, right? Would you agree?
I would agree with that in two different ways. The first one is you're right. Your customer is getting bombarded with Perplexity ads that say automate your SEO with Perplexity Computer. And your customer's thinking, when is my agency going to talk to me about my AEO? When is my agency going to talk about my AI SEO? What are they using to build their websites? Are they using Lovable? How are they using Lovable? How are they using AI tools? So our customers are already aware of this. And we're actually winning a lot of business because people are saying our other agency's not talking about AI SEO at all. They're not even talking about AEO. That's not even in their agenda. And so for us, just communicating that and having a service to deliver and educating them on this, it gives us the opportunity to educate them on something new. Just consider, your customer gets 4 to 5 emails every day that says SEO, says web design, says this and this and this. AEO is a simple way for you to talk about something they're not thinking about yet. Or maybe they saw it and now they're like, what is my agency doing about it? So they're getting bombarded with ads. All agencies should play to that.
That's so good. And one thing one of my mentors said too is like right now with AI changing and so rapidly is that, become more of a consultant now and actually give your clients maybe an AI tool or something for free, like a loss leader where you can give to them where they get a little taste of AI. And then they're like, oh my God, like this is amazing. This tool is amazing. Do you have anything like that you're doing right now with your clients where you're giving them something like a little taste? It's kind of like a little preview of what you can do for them. And then you go in and say, hey, this is what we can do, right?
The value of having existing clients is you already have their data. And this is a little device that we use. It's called the Pocket.
Okay.
And clients get this. And basically you turn it on, it records, and it connects to your Claude MCP. So basically all of your conversations that are transcribed based on this is available in Claude. And that turns into blog posts, email newsletters, whatever content we want to do to accomplish our goals is happening in the field with Pocket AI. So this is one of the only ones that I know that has a Claude MCP. And the value of this is everybody in my organization is using this when they talk to customers, and we're creating this data warehouse of relevant, accurate information so that when we prompt anything about our business and AI, it's prompting correct information. So I think the thing that we're doing right now is we're treating information as the absolute golden standard for every business. And so how much information do they have? How are they collecting it? And how is it hitting their MCP? Because every customer gets a custom MCP so that we can utilize it for their workflows. So the only thing the customer is getting from us is an MCP. So just like when you connect to Gmail, you're now connecting to CT Moving and Storage, or you're now connecting to BioClean, or whatever the small business is that we're working with. And then all of their calls, all of the transcripts is feeding into that MCP so that when we're like, create a blog about this, create 50 blogs and schedule them, Claude knows exactly what to say based on their information.
That's so good.
I like this one because it's like really pretty. And we're designers, so I like pretty stuff. But also, it's very thin. It can do phone calls. So it's very unique.
Cool. Send that to me after this call. But I love that.
Well.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about scaling systems, right? I think that, as an agency owner, we want to make sure that we're scaling appropriately. What was the first major crack that you noticed in your business that made you realize you needed more systems?
Probably me not wanting to take on a customer because I knew I would have to be involved with the customer, and it lowered my incentive to sell. And if my incentive to sell isn't there, I'm not going to grow the business. And if I'm not growing the business, employees aren't going to stay. And if employees aren't going to stay, I'm going to go back to step one and I'm going to be doing the work. And that's what I'm trying to not do right now as much as possible. So much so that I do these things called Claude walks. Well, I'll go on a 3-hour walk and I'll just have my phone and Claude, and that's the only thing that I could do work with. So I've kind of removed myself from the computer so I don't physically like go on and start doing SEO. So I think the biggest thing has been incentivizing sales has been very difficult for me. And when I sell something, is it going to be taken care of? That's always the biggest challenge for us. Because once the client's in, the deliverables are going to be super easy for us to manage. But now I've spent a lot of time promoting somebody to a creative project manager, having systems in places for the account managers, and then this new thing called the cohort program where people come into DevelopArk for a 12-week period. They don't stay, right? These are not permanent employees. These are part-time people. And they do an excessive amount of work in 12 weeks. So we have 5 of them going through this program right now. And they're talking to customers, they're delivering the results, etc. So a big part that's been holding me back from going to 4 million, because we're 2 million, is basically now I've got to do more sales now that I can fulfill the work. So fulfillment has always been a challenge. My confidence in making sure I can get an account and pass it through, taking on the right account and identifying who the right account is has been a very big part of it. Because if I sell something custom, that's not what our specialty is. Now I'm involved and I can't scale that way. So it's honestly just been qualifying the right person, working with the right type of business, delivering the same results over time, and giving my team a process for them to follow. And a lot of that actually comes with mental health. Like there will be times where I'm motivated. There will be times where I'm not motivated. If I have a system, it doesn't matter because the business doesn't rely on me being motivated or not, right? And so that's what I'm trying to work towards right now.
That's so good. And having a world-class onboarding is so important. Like once you have a great discovery call, you close the sale, you want to make sure that you feel that trust factor. Like, okay, my team is going to be able to handle it. We have great systems in place. Even though if Joey, is out for 1 week vacation, we know that the system is going to take care of it by sending the automated email, the welcome basket and whatnot. Because the first impressions are the most important, right? Yeah. I mean, we have to agree with that, right?
Yes.
Now, question, are you still doing the sales right now as an agency? Have you thought about maybe delegating the sales part to someone else?
So I am still doing the sales part. And the reason why I'm doing it is I actually think it's the most important part of the agency.
100%.
And the reason I say that is because the way you sell it is the onboarding, right? Like that's the first impression that business has with my agency. And so I know the systems, I know what we can do, I know what we can't do, I know the timelines, I know the prices, etc. So if I was going to have somebody do sales, it would have to be a very prolific person that gets paid a ton of money that truly understands this stuff deeply, because I'm setting the expectation for that customer with our agency. So that to me, the first step in the business is the most important part. Anybody could do the fulfillment, right? The client doesn't even need to see who's doing the fulfillment. That doesn't matter. So to me, like setting the right expectation with the customer is the most important role. So that's the last role I'm doing myself. And then once we start really growing the sales department, then I'll step away from it just a little bit. But I know some agencies that are very large that still do a lot of sales. Absolutely. So for me, it's like that is the part I'm going to invest a lot of time in the near future. Fulfillment, I've spent the entire year. That's good to go. Now it's more like, you're right. Like, how do I get other people to sell with me?
Yeah. And the most important thing is that a lot of times people, they get themselves out of a job that they really love too, right? Mm-hmm. And if you love sales and you're bringing in a lot of revenue and that's something that you love, then you continue doing it. Now, you can probably turn back a little bit and maybe if you hire somebody to help you, but you can still be involved in sales. I mean, I know a lot of agency owners that they're at 5 or 6 million and they're still doing the sales. I mean, but they have maybe a support person that's helping them with the sales when they are gone for like a vacation or whatnot, right? So I think sales is the most important job for someone like in your position, but I believe it's the last job that they should be replaced by, right? I think it should be the last person. Like that should be the last role. Like, okay, that's it. I'm out of this role because I want to now do more podcasting or I want to go to the events, right? To focus more on other activities, right? So,
agreed.
when it comes to your teams, like how do you tell the difference between team members who need more coaching versus one who simply lacks like accountability, let's say?
If lettuce isn't growing, you can't blame the lettuce, right? Like imagine you were trying to grow something, you're trying to grow a tomato and you're trying to say like, oh, it's the tomato, it's not growing. It's the environment that's not helping the tomato grow. So for me, I'm very spiritual. So how do I nurture things? Is it the right time of day? Is there sunlight? Like all these little factors affect everything that we do. Like if you look at our office, it's beautiful. And it's not like this like corporate like insurance office, like high ceilings, a lot of plants, it's direct sunlight, a lot of these little things that I know, John, you value, I value too. So for me, I can't blame the person. I can't say they're not being held accountable. It's I'm not holding them accountable, right? Ultimately, they're in an environment where they're not growing. It's not the actual tomato that's not growing. It's the environment around it. Because the tomato wants to grow. That's all it's there to do. And so for me, one of the things that I look at is I look at compassion and I look at empathy. And I tell people all the time, the difference between the two is empathy is basically you can understand how somebody feels. Compassion is you can suffer with them for their suffering. So a lot of the times when a client comes to us, they're looking for either or. Empathy could be, I'm not getting results, or I want to do more, I want to grow, or I'm not growing enough. And so you've got to really level with them and say, I understand where you're coming from. Here's what we're going to do about it. Compassion is when you really get to connect with somebody. Like they're going through a difficult time in their life and you suffer with them. And then once they go through that difficult part, they start growing. So our team members are experiencing the same thing. So it's important for me to understand what that is. Because as a leader, I need to be compassionate. And I need to understand their sufferings, and I need to not separate myself from them. Like we are one. If a client leaves, it's not one person. It's the entire agency filled that client. So without everybody being nurtured, we just can't grow. And something very simple that I learned way back before is I only have 100% in my total output. But if I have 10 people and they're all at 85%, just by getting them all up 5% each, there's no way I'm going to be able to grow myself that way. I just can't. So I'm all about empowering people to make sure that they feel nurtured in their roles. And a lot of that comes with me just really trying to understand what they're going through and talking with them compassionately.
That's so good. And what we do in our agency is that we have one-on-ones like every month or like every quarter where we'll send a survey just asking them like how they're feeling, right? How do you keep track with, let's say, a certain team member if, let's say, they're going through something and maybe you don't know that they're going through something personal? Is there something you guys have in place where you might have a survey that goes out, or maybe you have one-on-one set up with that team member? Maybe your ops manager talks to them. Is there anything you have in place that gives you that red flag or that alarm, like, oh my God, there's something wrong here?
There is. Our business is all local, as you know, John. So I see people on a weekly basis, not every day, but I do see them on a weekly basis. And that's allowed us to get a lot closer. And so while it's not perfect, people have still surprised me, and they will always surprise me because people are good at, we're good at putting on masks, right? Totally. And we're not perfect and they're not perfect. And so the world goes around. The thing that I have found the most effective is to just spend time with that person. And so if I try to systemize it, right? If I try to just do a quick check-in or do some automation, I'll find that they'll just lie through it. And I won't really get what I'm looking for. When I take them out to breakfast or I take them out to lunch and I have a full hour or two conversation with them, I get so much more out of them. So for some agencies, this is very hard to do because everybody's around the world or they're remote, or I don't know what their policy is. But my recommendation is meet that person in person and show up. Just by showing up, you get so much more out of that than them filling out a survey. Now, of course, it's difficult to do when you have a large agency, right? And that's why you have leaders in empowerment. At our size, we're about 11 full-time people. It's very possible for me to be in tune with everybody and how they're feeling.
That's so good. Yeah, we have an in-house team as well, a physical office in Colombia. So our internal team, but we do have a couple that are remote. But yeah, I mean, if you have somebody in-house, you can definitely, there's more touch points that you can see because you see them every day and you can kind of tell. But even then, there's people that put masks on. So you got to ask God to give you those superpower like antennas to make sure if there's anything wrong. But in the end, yeah, if you take them out to lunch and you're giving back to them, like you're pouring back into their lives, then they're going to show up to you. Like they might even ask you a few questions about what they're going through and whatnot, right? So totally.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the major propositions of Go Staffy, right? Is you're taking the responsibility for people to do that nurturing. Like, I don't have time to be on Zoom all day with people that are all around the world. I just don't. And so, like, I don't want to refer to it as this, but it is very similar, right? Like if you're buying a cow from a farmer, you don't want to purchase the cow that was abused its entire life and has been neglected and has never seen sunlight. Why would you want to do that? So, and I know that you're a person that buys premium meat, so you can understand that. And not to compare humans to meat, but what I'm trying to say is like the nurturing affects the work everywhere.
So good. So good. So let's talk about a little bit about, I know we've spoken about different things. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the psychology of fast growth, right? Like, was there ever a season where your agency looked successful on the outside, but internally you felt burned out or totally off?
Yes, it was about 2 years ago. My agency always looks successful because I market it. So it's like I'm always putting its best foot forward. I'm never showing people what it actually is going on. I'm always trying to impress new clients. I'm always trying to impress myself and my team. Very rarely am I showcasing the odds and ends. And I think that's a weakness, to be honest with you. I think the transparency could be very helpful. And I had to go to this place called The Bridge, and I went there for 2 weeks, and it's a place where they take away your phone and they take away everything. Beautiful place in Kentucky. And what it really taught me is that I'm not in a rush, right? And really just slow down. I don't really need to grow rapidly. I'm going to grow step by step by step, just like a tomato grows from the ground. Like it doesn't just appear overnight. It's not trying to overgrow. It's just going at its own pace based on the environment. And in Buddhism, which is what I follow, you eat different types of foods. You eat physical foods, you eat sight impressions, you eat food through the ears. So I'm really just conscious of like, what am I consuming, right? Like it's everything. So what environment have I set myself up to grow? So once I changed the environment, I started realizing I'm a lot less stressed out. I look happier, I feel happier, and that's allowed me to talk to people with compassion. When I was depressed, I could never talk to a customer with compassion because, I didn't have any. Once I got it back, now I'm finally starting to feel like I'm hitting that little growth spurt that I initially got when I started my business, got me to 2 million per year. And now I'm ready to take it to the next level. And I feel like I have enough energy and compassion to do that.
That's so good. And I feel sometimes as agency owners, like we're kind of hung on the revenue side, right? And it sounds sexy, like, hey, I'm at 3 million. Like we just hit the Inc. 5000 last year. And yeah, I'm super ecstatic. I'm super happy. Of course, great. But then you can fall into that trap. Like, okay, next year we're going to be at 3.5, then next year 4. But then if you don't have no fulfillment attached to it or purpose, then you're always going to be chasing something and it's never going to fill you up, right? I think that's my point when you're running an agency is like the agency owner who's hearing this is no matter what revenue you're at, like if you don't have some purpose behind it or the big why, it's always going to feel like you're chasing something and you're never going to reach it. And I get it. Success for me is ongoing. Like totally we can agree. I mean, the other day I was with a very successful person and they asked him like, hey, do you feel like you've reached success? And he said, no, success is ongoing. And that was such a great answer. Like so true. I was like, yes, that was the perfect answer because it's true. Success is ongoing. Now you could celebrate while you're, having that ongoing success for sure. And you can celebrate those milestones that you hit, but it's ongoing. You can't just say, okay, I just made it. Maybe when we're 100 years old, or God calls us, right? Would you agree? Can you add to that?
I look at it as fishing, right? I don't know. Do you fish?
Very rarely. I've gone a couple times, but I'm not really into fishing as much. Yeah.
You understand it though, right? Like,
of course.
Craving, which is another critical Buddhist thing, is the idea of thinking that success is a destination. And they always refer to it, all monks refer to it as when we throw out the fish liner, right? And there's a bait there. The fish goes to get the bait and now they're hooked. And it's very difficult to get unhooked. So to me, what does that look like in the modern world? Because Buddha said this 500 years before Jesus Christ. So to me, getting hooked is followers. It's what other people think about me. It's awards and accolades. If that's my version of success, I'm never going to be happy. So I 100% agree with that, and I'm going to steal that, and I'm going to use that.
Amazing. So when you think about the next 3 to 5 years, usually I like to ask this question to agency owners, kind of to stretch their mindset. Where do you see yourself at? What are you building? Why are you building it for?
Yeah, I mean, I think for in 5 years, we're going to be fully talking to robots, and we're going to be marketing to a robot. We're going to be advertising to robots. We're going to be getting robots to meet up to do podcasts so they're discoverable to other robots. I think that LLMs are going to progress so quickly that it's going to be like a Black Mirror, a Black Swan moment. We're not going to see it coming. And we're an update away from everything changing and everything that we do. And so my whole service is going towards that. I tell our team every single day that robot to robot communication is going to be where we go. And so with that being said, I foresee our agency not changing in size. I foresee it maybe adding 1 to 2 people, but increasing revenues by the multiples. And so I think the reason that's possible is because of these AI tools, they're going to get a lot better. So in 5 years, I'll be 37. And I think at that point, there's personal goals that I want to accomplish, right? I mean, I was put on the earth to have kids so I can reproduce. And that's how we continue.
Great, good
that's
stuff. Yeah, totally.
Continuation. You've done it. You've accomplished it. And so that's one of the major goals. But I think the work-related one, the business, the agency one that everybody should be thinking about is these things are communicating. These things are conscious.
Totally.
And they're going to matter in the future, not just for a productivity level, but also just for a general human rights level is going to hit robotics, I think.
That's so good. And one tip I give agency owners listening is that I think right now what's happening with a lot of agencies or people that are using AI, that there's a lot of silos. Like they're using it they have 5 or 6 or 7 different tools they're using it in silos, but they don't have a complete system. Like they don't know how to put it together. And I think that's big, the biggest issue. And we as agency owners have the opportunity to be that partner and show them like, hey, you know what? We can put it all together into this. It's going to help you with your workflow. It's going to help you with managing your team better. It's going to help you with that. So I believe in 5 years from now, the agencies that will win, right, will be the ones that are creating like platforms where everything is connected. I mean, it's happening right now. I would say even if you're doing that now, I think it's a great opportunity because people are not using AI the way we are. I mean, literally, I would say there's probably I think only the 1% are using it the way that we are. I mean, would you agree?
I would definitely agree because today I had a new person start at DevelopArk and I showed them how to use Claude and MCPs and co-work, and they were just shocked.
All right, Ruan. Well, this is the final. We're going to do a lightning rod questions. If you don't mind, this is just random. You respond quickly. And then after that, we're just going to have a few more questions and we're done. So ready to go?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So favorite book?
Think and Grow Rich.
Love it. If you had to start an agency today with one service only, what would you pick?
AI SEO.
Love it. What's one habit or routine that has made the biggest difference in your performance?
Taking off my shoes and going for a long walk.
Love it. Love it. What's one thing agency owners should stop doing immediately if they want to scale?
Thinking about traditional SEO versus AEO and understanding the key differences.
Well, it's been amazing having you on the show, Ruan. Where can people connect with you, or learn more about where you're building at, DevelopArk, or where can people find you, in other words?
LinkedIn is by far my favorite place. I'm very active on there. I love it. I think LinkedIn is on the come up right now. So Ruan M. Marino on LinkedIn. Connect with me, message me, and let's chat.
That's amazing. This is it. This is the Go Accomplish More podcast. And my only action I give you today is that you need to take action, right? You've heard it from Ruan, where AEO is going. You've heard on how to scale faster using AI, using the tools that we have nowadays. If you like the show, make sure to subscribe, leave a great review, and I'll see you on the next one.